Live with Tony. Good afternoon, Tony Dottino, founder, chairman of the USA Memory Championship, and doing my Friday Live with Tony broadcast. So it's been another week gone by. You still may see I'm still in New York. The good news is Evelyn is making great progress. She's just an amazing woman in my life, and such courage and such a focus and dedication she's had to keeping her head down. Yep. And when I tell that to people, yeah, that's a 24/7 operation. It's now during the day. It's sitting watching TV through a mirror. It's in bed. She lays with her head through this little harness thing that keeps her head down. She eats with, I mean, it's just an amazing thing. But eyesight is so important to us. And eyesight, obviously, in terms of one of our senses, in terms of sight, is an important element of memory. And so how we take information in through our optics and then we store it up here into our memory cells is just an amazing feat. But I'm still here. We go back to get hopefully a big, terrific check mark on Monday, and I'll be heading back to Florida on Thursday. And as I do, we start planning for this year's USA Memory Championship, which will be done at Full Sail University on September 23rd. They have been fantastic in giving us now a studio with the students there. That this is a real live mix of the competition and what their skills are that they bring to the table, and gives us a great tool to get out to a much wider audience of people going through streaming and whatever social media outlets that we have access to. But you can see from the bookshelf here that, God, that bookshelf used to be packed 3 layers. And when I moved to Florida, I did a little bit of house cleaning. And my goodness, I had books downstairs in the basement. And so lots of books that I've read on the human brain. What's amazing to me is I've read them, and as I think about them and reflect on the Memory Championship, is it opens up the possibility of the unlimited amount of thinking, memories, creativity, and sometimes in how we communicate, and we can miscommunicate. The human brain has the potential of doing, and it's an amazing 3-pound mass in our heads. And what we do is, in 1997, I was trying to get people to realize there was so much more that we could do with our brains than ever possible. And that's when I founded the first USA Memory Championship. And I'm excited to see we're coming upon our 24th. And if you would have told me back 24 years ago, or back in 1997 when we first started it, the amount of effort and how difficult it would be for people to realize that memory was a fundamental skill. And I always say memory is not a noun. Now when people, what do you mean memory is not a noun? It's not a fixed being or object that's just stuck in your brain, but it's actually, memory to me is an action verb, meaning there are things that we can learn that are demonstrated through the USA Memory Championship. And we've been blessed to have people that have come into the competition and have been able to demonstrate that. And so if I go way back in time, to our first woman, which was Tatiana Cooley, who walked in at the last minute to just see how good her memory was, and then she wins the competition 3 years in a row. It was our first person that is able to demonstrate memory skills, to then subsequently be eliminated by Scott Hagwood, who at the time was going through chemotherapy treatments and was worried about what chemo was doing to his brain. And Scott was way ahead of himself, way ahead of himself. There is so much more research that has come out since then that talks about the impacts of chemo in our mental capacities, to the point now where I even read that Cleveland Clinic does some form of memory training as cancer patients are going for chemo. Scott was way ahead of himself. This was like 20 years ago. And he put the focus and the time and created a hope in his life by practicing and having family support him that loved and cared for him, and came in on our 4th year of the event, and he won the championship. And he was our first person to get through a whole deck of cards in less than 5 minutes. So that was our benchmark, our first cards, right? Tatiana was doing 26, 28 cards And here comes Scott, and Scott was able to demonstrate that we could get through a deck of cards in less than 5 minutes. And subsequent to that, 24 years later, we now have people that get through the deck of cards in less than a minute. And we used to give out timers for the people that could compete and that thought they could do it in less than 5, and maybe we'd give out 3 or 4 timers. Now we give them out to just about every mental athlete that qualifies, and says everybody thinks they've learned a skill that can order the sequence of a deck of shuffle cards. So we've come a long way in 24 years, and we're excited to be working with Full Sail University. My team's excited to be working with Lumosity, which has just been a fantastic host and sponsor with us that really understands the concepts of memory and has really seen the value of seeing people compete and utilizing their memory skills and fundamentals and how they can go about and doing it. We've got MIT that has just been terrific in their support, and they're helping us to understand the science and going through what does and what doesn't apply and what works and what doesn't work. And so that's been an amazing opportunity. And a few years ago, we moved it to Florida, and we had the Rosen Center that was willing to host us in their site and brought Full Sail with them. And now Full Sail brings us to their studio on their college campus. So we're maturing, we're expanding, and you would have told me how difficult this was going to be in over 23 plus years. I probably never would have undertaken the challenge, but I see more and more in my weekly Cleveland Clinic, Hopkins, UCLA newsletters, more and more emphasis on memory and the fact that there are things we can do and what can we do for brain health. And so as we move forward for our 24th USA Memory Championship in the next couple of weeks, we'll be announcing our dates for the qualifying events. So we're just waiting for the Art of Memory to get back to us with confirmation of a July date for the qualifying rounds. And we've got Full Sail set for September 23rd. And I almost hate to even discuss this, but as we get into September in Florida, we do worry about weather and things that could muck us up. But, you know, we had our deal with it last year. We're not counting on 2 years in a row. So going September 23rd, UCF is not playing football that Saturday, so we look for that to be better. And now we start to bring in people that want to compete to see who's got the best memory in the United States. So that's exciting to me. It's 24 years. It's hard to believe, and we're still making changes and improvements. And one of the things that's not frustrating to me, because I understand that each year we may have different people and new people that we bring on board. So we did the event it was 18 years at Con Edison here in New York City. And then when that shifted and they no longer wanted to be a sponsor or host the event, we scurried about and found a place in New York City, and then we scurried about and went to MIT, and we eventually now have come to Florida. So it's been an interesting geography lesson of finding people who can get excited and believe in being a part of the USA Memory Championship and see the value that it has for people. So we're looking in July to do the virtual competitions with Art of Memory and Lumosity. And we're looking to host it live with the finalists in Florida. And we sure are hoping we get some more media from the local Orlando area. It's almost like, God, can Orlando media people recognize the value of sharing with our community in Orlando the value of memory to its citizens and to its students, to its professionals, and to its seniors. So we're hoping that we can get a little bit more media focus this year on getting people to wake up to there's something going on in the world about Alzheimer's and dementia and the fears and the disappointments that people have when they don't have their mental faculties. And there are things we can learn way, way in advance of our senior years as to things that we can do. So 24th USA Memory Championship, the team is coming together. Nelson Dellis has put together some of the summaries of last year's event that we have. We have speakers that we'll be talking about putting out on separate pieces. So we've got some new creative ideas on how we can get a wider audience of people pulling down the knowledge and the information that we package into a 4-hour afternoon come September. So with that, a 4-hour afternoon in March, especially on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, means the brackets and March Madness. And we are watching the Iona game. We are really close. We happen to know one of the assistant coaches that works for Rick Pitino. So at 4:30 today, we will be glued to the TV and hoping that Iona College can manage to get a Final Four spot somewhere along the brackets. Have a great weekend. I hope your teams are doing well and moving along in your bracket, I should say. And we shall see you back here on Monday.